For generations, people have been cultivating pistachios, which are widely considered to be among the most popular and nutritious nuts in the world. Iran, which was once the world's greatest exporter, is the country from which they originate. In the present day, the United States of America has emerged as the leading producer of this delectable nut, accounting for approximately 40% of the total supply worldwide. A staggering $1.90 billion was the worth of the pistachio crop that was grown in the United States in the year 2022. A historic record was set by California pistachio growers in 2022, when they harvested more than 1.03 billion pounds of pistachios, which had a farm-level worth of more than $1.80 billion. What are the methods used to cultivate and harvest pistachios? In order for these nut trees to flourish and produce such abundant harvests, what are the necessary conditions? For their growth, pistachios require particular conditions in the soil. A habitat that is perfect for the trees is one that is composed of clay, sand, loam, and organic materials working together. The planting of pistachio plants is the next step in the process. Plants that have been grafted are used to begin the process of commercial production of trees. The scions are chosen with great care, and then they are grafted onto rootstocks that have been selected for their resistance to pests and their hardiness. After being planted, the trees need to be cared for on a consistent basis in order to guarantee that they grow in a healthy manner and produce the highest possible harvests. When it comes to pistachio trees, one of the most fascinating characteristics is their alternate bearing nature, which means that they alternate between years with great yields and years with low yields. For growers, this presents a significant obstacle in terms of maintaining their orchards in order to get maximum productivity. Growers are responsible for providing the required nutrients and care to pistachio plants in order to assist them in reaching their maximum potential. It takes approximately 5 to 6 years for pistachio trees to begin generating fruit. Water is absolutely necessary for the development of pistachio trees, particularly during the hot summer months that span from the end of July to the beginning of August. For each day, young trees require approximately 50 gallons of water. The majority of newly planted orchards make use of micro-irrigation systems in order to precisely manage the amount of water that is used. Drip irrigation systems are the primary approach that is utilized in order to find the most effective method of fertilizing for their orchards. Pistachio farmers in the United States rely on methods that are extremely detailed. At various points during the year, they examine the soil and the leaves in order to determine the exact dietary requirements of the trees. Controlling pests and illnesses that could be detrimental to the crop and lead to decreased yields requires careful management of weeds, as well as the pruning and spraying of trees. Pistachios have a very important growing season, which begins in late March, when the flower buds that were initially formed over the previous summer begin to bloom. The blossoms are in full bloom by the month of April, and unlike other fruit and nut trees, which are pollinated by bees, pistachio trees are pollinated by the wind. May marks the beginning of the formation of the inner shells, and by June, when the shells have reached their full size, the pistachios have begun to harden, and the nut has reached its entire development. As the nuts continue to grow in size, the shells will naturally break open by the month of July, indicating that the pistachios are ready to be harvested. It is common practice to begin harvesting pistachios around the latter half of August or the beginning of September, when the shells start to split and the outer hulls are readily separated. During the harvesting process, mechanical shakers are utilized to vigorously shake the trees, resulting in the pistachios falling into specialized catch frames in the shape of a V, which are located below. Immediately following the collection of the nuts, they are loaded onto conveyors and placed into plastic bins or trailers in preparation for transportation to processing plants. Farmers use precise harvesting techniques to guarantee that pistachios are picked with care, thereby protecting the freshness and flavor of the nuts. Because pistachios are a sensitive crop, they have the potential to become stained if they are left on the trees for an excessive amount of time, or if the outer hulls remain in contact with the shells after harvesting. Over the course of the 6 to 8 week harvest period, the industry places a strong emphasis on continuous harvesting 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. During this hectic time, a swift and meticulous harvest is ensured, hence reducing the likelihood of shell staining and preserving the great quality and value of pistachios. It is possible for pistachios to go through a mechanical procedure after they have been dried in order to separate the nuts according to whether or not their shells have split. During this procedure, the nuts are passed through a drum that is equipped with fine pins. The nuts that have already been split are caught by the drum as it turns, while the nuts that have not yet split are allowed to pass through. Shells that have split naturally are highly appreciated and are arranged according to size and color. During this time, the kernels are extracted from the nuts that have not been split by mechanical means. After the pistachios have been processed and shelled, they are placed in bins and kept at temperatures ranging from 40 to 45 degrees Fahrenheit until they are ready to be packaged and sold. From my perspective, pistachio cultivation is a fascinating intersection of agricultural science, environmental management, and economic strategy. What makes pistachios unique is not just their flavor or nutritional value, but the intricate combination of climate requirements, water management, and long-term orchard planning that determines whether a farm succeeds or fails. Unlike many annual crops, pistachios demand patience, taking years before they yield, and this alone means that growers must think in decades, not seasons. Such long horizons encourage a level of discipline and foresight that I find deeply admirable. However, this crop also highlights a growing tension in modern agriculture: the pursuit of record-breaking yields in the face of increasingly fragile natural resources. Pistachios are water-intensive, especially in their early years, and much of U.S. production is concentrated in California, a state already grappling with chronic water scarcity. Relying on 50 gallons per young tree per day in a drought-prone region raises legitimate concerns about long-term sustainability. I believe that the industry's future will depend heavily on accelerating research into ultra-efficient irrigation, rootstocks that can thrive in lower water conditions, and better soil moisture monitoring to avoid waste. Economically, the alternate bearing cycle presents a unique challenge: boom years followed by lean years. While experienced growers can smooth out cash flow through storage and smart market timing, smaller producers can be more vulnerable to these fluctuations. One solution might be developing cooperative models or shared storage infrastructure so that smaller farms can hold back high-yield harvests for strategic release into the market, reducing price volatility and ensuring more consistent income. I also think the industry should embrace greater transparency about environmental impact. Consumers increasingly want to know not only where their food comes from, but how it was produced, especially in water-stressed regions. Marketing pistachios as a premium sustainable nut will only work if producers can back that claim with verifiable water stewardship practices, biodiversity support in orchards, and reduced reliance on chemical inputs. In short, pistachios are more than a snack. They are a case study in balancing agricultural ambition with ecological responsibility. The path forward will require innovation in irrigation, resilience against climate unpredictability, and a willingness to adapt both farming methods and market strategies. If managed wisely, the pistachio industry can remain not just a billion-dollar business, but a model for how high-value crops can thrive without exhausting the very resources that make them possible.